It's been 3 weeks since Hamas terrorists attacked Israel. The entire civilized world has condemned the attack and atrocities except for Russia. For the first 2 days after the war began, high-ranking Russian officials remained silent and then finally made statements. Among them, Foreign Minister Lavrov and Putin spokesman Peskov. They said that it was necessary to stop the fighting and bring the situation to a peaceful resolution. Meanwhile, Deputy Chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, Medvedev, blamed NATO for the escalation of the conflict in the Middle East.
The Russian Federation is one of the co-sponsors of Hamas, both in the issue of arms supplies and in general, so to say, support for Hamas's political line. Obviously, for Russia, the worse the situation is for US allies, which is Israel, the better. It is hard to expect any condemnation from Russia, which is doing the same sin as Hamas, just in a different part of the world.
The fact that Russia benefits from the war in the Middle East and has been waiting for it has already been said in Europe. This was mentioned by Lithuanian Foreign Minister Minister Landsbergis before the European Union Council of Ministers meeting in Luxembourg.
We cannot forget and we cannot keep our eyes off Ukraine, where the situation is not the easiest. We're seeing Russia's renewed offensive. It reminds us that Russians are waiting for the situations like this, where we draw our attentions somewhere else, so they can renew their attacks.
This is a very convenient case, which they would try to use for propaganda purposes in order to weaken the support for Ukraine. They hope that due to the fact that Israel is having problems now, the USA and Europeans should help Israel more. However, we see that it doesn't help the Russian Federation, since Ukraine has received ATACMS despite everything.
Russian propaganda keeps up with the authorities, supporting the narrative that the countries of the West are to blame for the escalation. They also promote the idea that because of Hamas's war against Israel, Ukraine is going off the world trends.
Russia's task, both in relation to this war and in general, is to increase destabilization in the world by provoking new conflicts and intensifying existing ones. Their task is to divide everyone so that those who are already in the conflict cannot get out of it, and those who are not in the conflict get engaged.
Despite the state's anti-Israeli policy, propagandists still lack a structured position on Hamas's war against Israel. Yini Satanovsky, one of the supporters of the Russian-Ukrainian war, was fired from the Solovyev Live program. This happened after he criticized the Russian authorities in an interview with an Israeli journalist for their position on the war in the Middle East.
The situation with Satanovsky is very revealing because he showed his allegedly pro-Israeli position to an Israeli blogger. It was in the context that was supposed to go to the Israel audience and convince them that there are many influential, intelligent people in Russia who fully support Israel. While explaining the Russian position towards Israel, he said that the Russian foreign ministry is full of alcoholics, drunks and idiots. That's the reason they gave for his scandalous dismissal from Solovyev Live.
In Russia, propagandists work for all audiences. There are those who support Hamas and those who support Israel. Experts believe that this is a specific direct policy, and even if potential Russian viewers have questions due to such contrasting rhetorics, they will not be able to ask anyone. Reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Nikita Skoblikov, UATV News.